Welcome to Ending Coverage in Wireless Land. We're going to be covering some very important concepts. First of all, the fact that coverage is still important. We can't do away with it just because capacity is needed. We still need coverage where we need coverage. Secondly, coverage is not simple, and we'll talk about this as well. It's important to understand that coverage is the foundation of capacity. You certainly cannot have capacity in a given area if you don't have coverage in that area. And, of course, coverage is technical, so we'll go into several of the technical aspects related to coverage today. Finally, coverage is technical. To understand coverage issues, you have to understand RF behavior, propagation patterns, for example, like reflection, refraction, diffraction, scattering, absorption, and so forth. Power measurements are important to grasp. We'll talk about some of that terminology momentarily. Data rates. We have to understand data rates. We have to understand that data rates are fixed. For example, we don't go from 54 megabits per second to 53.9 megabits per second. You may have noticed that. Why do we make the jump from 54 to 48? Well, it's because data rates are determined by modulation and coding, and a few other factors too that can impact the overall data rate. When considering data rates, then, you have to understand that the modulation changes for the simple reason that with a poor signal, you cannot process more complex modulation algorithms. You need a really good signal for that. So the data rates adjust to different modulation schemes in order to accomplish pushing the bits through without corruption or with readability. And then you also have to understand channel access methods. That is, how does a device gain access to the channel? So we're talking here about things like clear channel assessment and the nav timers and these kinds of things, which we'll talk a little bit more about later.